Hello everyone, I am back with more New 52 Teen Titans. This week, we will be taking a look at Volume 3, the sum of its parts, consisting of issues 14 through 19, written by Will Pfeiffer, Greg Pak, and Scott Lobdell, with art by Ian Churchill and Miguel Mendonça. In the last volume, we dealt with Connor Kent, aka Superboy, murdering a whole bunch of Durlans, who are a group of aliens, and now the Teen Titans have to deal with the aftermath of that situation. These issues not only deal with that, but there's also an adventure with Wonder Woman that happens in this volume as well, so we got that to look forward to. So without further ado, let's just get straight into issue 14. This is the first of two issues, the second being issue 15, where Scott Lobdell will be writing the book alongside Will Pfeiffer. We continue from where we last left off, with the Alpha Centurion having arrested the Teen Titans for breaking into prison. There's a reporter there who wants to question Tim, and she's like, "Why did you break into the prison?" And Tim's like, "I've only got one thing to say, and that is that it's none of your business." And it's funny because he doesn't really have any story that he can... Like, even if he wanted to tell them the truth, it wouldn't look good for them. Because the ending of the last arc was so badly ruined by editorial, their reason for going to the prison ended up not being the case anymore, because they went there in order to make sure that Superboy was innocent for killing all of those Durlans, but then it turned out he did kill all of those Durlans, so they really just broke into the prison for no reason. So it just does not look good for him. He can't even tell her the truth without looking bad. Which is funny, these are the kind of consequences that happen when these stories just get muddled with. Everybody hates Robin now. They hate vigilantes in general, which includes the rest of the Titans. Things have been going down in Gotham City. There's been a hunt for vigilantes, and now, according to Tim, it's come to Metropolis. Even the police are beating Tim over the head, which is kind of messed up because Tim's just a teenager, and this guy's beating him over the head. Tim's not even doing anything. It's not like he's resisting or anything. He's being completely compliant. This guy just has fun beating up kids. The Titans all get loaded into police vans, and we see Tim in his police van, where he talks about Connor and how he's been taken by Harvest. Tim is saying this like it's gonna matter at some point. It doesn't. He's like, "Oh yeah, Connor's somewhere with Harvest, wherever Harvest is." Nothing comes of that. Suddenly, the police van just gets knocked off the road by this horrible looking creature. It's red, it kind of looks like a gremlin. Tim wakes up and sees this creature, and he says that it's Doomsday, because it kind of looks like Doomsday, except it doesn't look like Doomsday at all. Like, they try to say it looks like Doomsday, it doesn't. This thing is called Doomed. This guy is called Doomed. He was a student at a university who got some Doomsday DNA mixed in with his own, and he became this character. He had his own series at the time, so they're just randomly crossing him over with Teen Titans. Well, not randomly, because both series are written by Scott Lobdell. It just feels random because he shows up out of nowhere. He's trying to find Wonder Girl because she appeared in one of the issues of his book, and he has a weird thing with her. So he's just causing all sorts of destruction while Tim's trying to make sure that all the cops are safe, and the Teen Titans, their police van gets thrown aside as well, and Doomed rips open the side of it, and he grabs Wonder Girl, and Wonder Girl recognizes him, and that is when Alpha Satorian arrives, and he punches Doomed in the face. He's like, "Alright, now that I've taken care of that guy, it's time for me to take care of all of you and put you back in prison where you belong." And Tim has managed to get a key from one of the guards that was knocked out, and he hands it to Bart, and he tells Bart to set everybody free from their handcuffs so that they can fight the Alpha Centaurian. And while Alpha Centaurian is bragging to them about how powerful he is, he gets punched from behind by Chimera, who has stolen some of his abilities. And this pisses him off, so he fights Chimera, and as he's trying to strangle her, Wonder Girl comes up from behind and punches Alpha Centauri, and it's kind of like a silly shot of him just like, ah. The way this guy presented himself is as if he's supposed to be some kind of all-powerful being, almost like on the level of a god or something, but he just gets slapped around by these kids. Easy peasy. He then calls his squad, who he calls the Pantheon, the Pax Galactica. These guys that just show up, I don't know where their names are, Strafe, Seamus, and Ordling, and he tells them to fight the Titans, and they just get taken out so easily. Bunker just uses his powers against them, and Bart just runs in and starts punching the shit out of them. Beast Boy turns into a falcon, except we don't see the falcon, we just see its shadow, which makes me think that either the artist doesn't know how to draw a falcon, or they didn't have enough room to draw the falcon, so the best they could do was this shadow of the falcon's head. But as a falcon, he swoops in on one of them, turns into a rhino, and slams into the ground, which sends this guy flying. And that's it. They've beaten them. And Alpha Centurion is like, you may have defeated my squad, but you can't defeat me because I'm super powerful. And Tim's like, hey, Power Girl, remember how you took out Manchester Black? Can you do the same thing to that guy as well? And she's like, yeah, sure can. She grows to enormous size, grabs one of the police vans, and chucks it on top of him off panel. After this, Tim has Raven teleport everybody to Tim's bird nest, is what he calls it. It's like his little headquarters, while she teleports him to Gotham City, so they've been separated. And also Doomed is with them now. They decided to take him along. He's kind of a member of the Teen Titans now. Once again, Raven has just been completely reduced to being the team's teleporter. She never does anything except teleport people around. I can't remember the last time she used her powers outside of teleportation. The Titans just kind of chill at the headquarters, waiting for Tim's orders when he gets back. And we see Tim in Gotham City, where he's seeing a whole bunch of vigilantes getting arrested. And these vigilantes were inspired by Robin. They're all wearing costumes similar to the different Robins. And then Red Hood shows up, because this is written by Scott Lobdell, and he was writing Red Hood and the Outlaws, so of course, Red Hood is going to have to show up. And why else is he showing up? Because this ties in to a Batman event that was going on at the time called Robin War. So the next issue is just going to be a Robin War tie-in. So I hope you're looking forward to that, because I'm not. I don't give a shit about Robin War, but I'm going to have to cover this tie-in. I can already tell that this book is just spinning its wheels until eventually it's gonna end. Because we've only got one more volume after this, and then it's done. Going into this issue, I'm only going to talk about the Teen Titans plot. I'm not going to talk about the Red Hood and Tim Drake plot, because I've read this issue, they don't do anything important at all, it's all filler. We're not covering Robin War, so there's no point talking about them. So, the Teen Titans are currently in Tim Drake's Robin's Nest, where Beast Boy and Miguel are having a little bit of fun. Beast Boy is pretending to be a TV news reporter, giving a report on what's going on in Gotham City right now. He says that he's auditioning for a spot on the news. And Tanya's like, hey guys, terrible things are going on right now. We gotta pull it together and treat this seriously, especially while Tim is away. You know, he told us to stay here. And Raven says that they shouldn't stay here because she senses that something horrible is going on in a different part of Gotham, where she can only hear the word perfection in her head repeatedly. So they decide to go and investigate this. Meanwhile, Cassie does nothing in this book except lounge around in a mansion that she apparently has access to, or she owns, where she's able to allow Chimera and Bart and Razor to just chill, and that is all this is the only time they appear in this entire issue. That's supposed to be Bart diving into the pool, that's Chimera sitting by the pool. Like, they just had no plans for these characters. And Riser is obviously the guy that turns into Doomed. This is him in his human form. He has no last name. His name is just Riser. That's it. I looked it up. That's just his name. Raven's group find the source of this mysterious dark aura that she can sense. It's at a theater where a musical called Class of Rock is being performed. Now, it sounds like it's supposed to be a School of Rock parody, but the way they describe it, it's more of a parody of High School Musical, because they describe it as just a bunch of good-looking teens who sing together, and that's it. They just sing pop songs, which is not what School of Rock is. School of Rock is a really good movie, and in this they say that the Class of Rock themed kind of movie is the kind of movie that they're not really into. When they enter the building, instead of finding a whole bunch of students, they find a whole bunch of androgynous beings. These are dolls. If you've ever seen the Arkham Knight video game or read Grant Morrison's Batman, you would know exactly what these are. They are incredibly creepy, and Miguel sees that there is an open door leading to the center stage, so he heads out there, and it is Professor Pig. Professor Pig is responsible for doing this to all these students. He's been experimenting on them, turning them into his androgynous dolls, who he sees as the pinnacle of human perfection, because everybody is exactly the same. It's pretty horrific. Like, these teenagers are stuck this way forever, and there are other teenagers that he's still experimenting on. So the Teen Titans immediately decide to bum rush this guy and smack the shit out of him. Honestly, if they wanted to kill one villain, I think this is one of those villains that I would be okay with them just breaking the rule once. They all get attacked by his dolls and overwhelmed because they try to fight back, but these dolls, they don't feel anything. So the Titans get overwhelmed and then wake up on Professor Pig's surgical beds, or whatever you call them, where they discover that Beast Boy is hanging above them, and Pig is draining his blood and injecting it into this young girl that is with them, and because she's being injected by Gar's blood, when Bunker tries to attack Pig, Pig gets knocked out by this girl who is transformed into a horrific creature that's like half gorilla, half snake. She attacks Bunker, but Power Girl grows in size and grabs her and slams her into the ground. It's like, I'm sorry I have to do this to you, but I have no choice. Raven uses her powers to turn her back to normal, and they're like, I'm hoping that we can cure her completely of this. Bunker grabs Beast Boy. They realize that Professor Pig is gone alongside his dolls, and Tanya says that she thinks that Beast Boy isn't the only person that he stole blood from, and that he's stolen blood from all of them. We then see, at Gotham Harbor, Professor Pig, with his dolls, meeting up with what looks like Brother Blood, and handing him the blood of the Titans that he has drawn from them. He says he wasn't able to get any blood from Tim because Tim was busy taking part in the Robin War, but he did manage to get the blood of all the Titans that have superpowers. Except for Cassie, Bart, Chimera. Like, there are a bunch he missed. He doesn't point that out, but he didn't get all of them. He says he did, but he didn't. And that's where this ends. And unlike some of the other plot threads that we've seen, we will see a conclusion to this plot thread, just not for a little while. The Titans all meet up at Robin's nest, waiting for Tim. They summarize the plot from the last issue because nobody read the last issue, because it sucks. And then Tim arrives, and everybody's really happy to see him. And Gar is like, yo, Tim, you got any good news? And Tim's like, nah, not really. After everything that happened with Professor Pig, once that story goes out, things are going to get worse for us because we're already wanted. And Raven says something, and Tim's like, oh, are you worried? And she's like, no, you've been followed. And Tim's like, followed? That's impossible. And then this guy breaks in with a mask, and he has a gun, and he wants Chimera. He's come here to take the Derlin girl, and Tim tells the Titans to take him. So, as this guy is about to try and shoot Tim, Bart uses his speed to dismantle his gun, and Tim's like, hey, that's great, if I could, I'd kiss you. And Bart's like, yeah, right at you, Chief. Cassie? And Cassie's like, don't even come near me, don't even try to kiss me, as she punches this guy in the face. Then Bunker just drops a shit ton of bricks on this guy, which he loves doing. They unmask him. Turns out this guy is also a Derlin. And then they hear a noise and the room starts shaking. And Tim's like, what's going on? And Chimera's like, don't you understand, Robin? He wasn't trying to take us in. He was just a distraction. And all these other Derlins arrive and they start attacking the Titans. The first person they take down is Bart because they notice he has a connection to the Speed Force, so they just put this force field around him, and Bart is taken out of commission for the rest of the issue. The Titans fight back against the Derlins. Gar tries to attack one of them, but she uses this technology against him that encases him in water, and she tries to drown him because she says that the Derlins come from a desert planet, which is why they have technology like this, where they can just turn rain into usable water. So now Gar is drowning and he's got to figure out a way to get out of here, so he decides to transform into an arapaima, which is a fish that can breathe air, and it's big enough that when it leaps out of the water it can really hurt. So he's able to break out of the water and land on top of her, knocking her out. He then turns into an elephant and steps on top of her, but then the Derlin leader, I guess, he doesn't really have a name, is like, you thought you've won, but you don't realize that we're aliens and we have incredible technology that can just take you out. And he shoots a giant laser or something. We don't see what it is. We just see some lights behind him that go boom, and then everybody's knocked out. He's like, Chimera, come with us, otherwise I'll level this entire city. And Raven is like, she's not coming with you. You haven't dealt with me yet. And this lead Derlin is like, hey, we've got a spiritual Derlin with us who's very similar to you. She can summon gods and demons that are much more powerful than yours. And so she just summons a bunch of gods and demons and takes out Raven. Literal plot device characters. It's like that friend that everybody had where you'd be playing pretend superheroes and they kept adding powers, being like, oh, well, I can do this. He tells Chimera to come with them because she needs to pay for what she's done. They don't really elaborate on what she's done. And Tim tries to stop them from taking her because she is a Titan. And Chimera's like, Tim, calm down. I'm going with them because I need to be written out of the book. You know, Will Pfeiffer is wrapping up his run now. So he needs to take out all these characters so that we can get back to the core members that we had at the beginning. So we need to get rid of Chimera. So Chimera leaves, she kisses Tim on the cheek, and then they realize that Bart is missing, and it's because Bart is gone. He left. And all he leaves behind is a note. That is how they write Bart out of this book. He leaves a note that says that he needs to go back to the future because he left Solstice there. So he left. And we will never see a conclusion to this storyline. The Titans are still wanted. They have no place to go. They can't go to Gotham, Metropolis, or any of those places because they're wanted there. Everybody knows who they are. Also, Riser is here, and Raven offers to teleport him back to Star Labs, and because he's in his human form, no one will recognize him, so it's just easy to write him out of the book. So goodbye, Doomed. We didn't really care about you at all. The police all arrive in choppers to arrest the Titans. They try to trap them in these handcuffs. And Beast Boy's like, yeah, try and cuff me. Just as Raven teleports them all away. And the cops are like, ah, shit. We lost them. 1 week later in Pennsylvania, there are a lot of criminals here with superpowers, but no homegrown vigilantes. They've cornered this kid who's clearly trying to be a hero and has met his match, And that is when the Titans appear behind them, ready to help this guy. If you're looking for a fight, we're the Teen Titans, and we know where you can find one. Number of visiting superhero teams? 1. And that's more than enough. And that is the end of Pfeiffer's Teen Titans run. It ends right there. The Teen Titans are now living in Pennsylvania as fugitives. Overall, this wasn't a bad final issue for Pfeiffer's run. Like, this was one of the better issues over the last 10 or so that I've read. And, like, the problem is that it's just rushed. It's very clear that Pfeiffer was rushed to finish up his run. He needed to get rid of Chimera, he needed to get rid of Bart, he needed to get rid of Doomed, so that we would just be left with the OGs and Tanya. Like I said earlier, the Teen Titans book is spinning its wheels, stalling until they get a new writer to come on, and they will continue to stall as Greg Pak comes on for a 3-issue story arc that is up next. Now, I thought the ending of the last issue was supposed to establish that the Titans were now operating in Pennsylvania, and I believe that that was the original intention, because at the end they made a point to say that Pennsylvania now had a team protecting it when it didn't previously. But it seems, starting with this story arc, it is established that the Titans are not operating in Pennsylvania. They are road tripping as vigilantes, just traveling around as fugitives, trying to stay out of the law's way, trying not to get too involved in taking down criminals and stuff. It feels like Greg Pak has chosen to take things in a different direction just so that it will fit the story that he wants to tell. And that story is one all about Cassie Sandsmark. You know, many issues ago, Trigon brought up Cassie's father like it was going to matter. Well, now it does. Cassie is hearing a voice telling her about her father all of a sudden, and now she wants to go and find him. And Tim just sees her walking in midair and is like, "Hey, Cassie, what are you doing? We don't want anybody to see us. You know, we're fugitives at the moment." And she's like, "Well, we're 300 miles out from any civilization, so what's the point in us hiding right now?" And then they hear some gunfire, and we see some hunters trying to hunt some deer, and Cassie swings in, stops some of the bullets with her bracelets. Beast Boy attacks one of them and bites onto their gun, and Tanya comes in her giant form, and for some reason, these guys think that she's a monster, even though she's very clearly just a human at giant size. It's like these guys have never heard of superheroes before, or superpowered humans, which is kind of unbelievable in a universe like this. Even if you're living out in the middle of the woods, you know who Superman is, you know who Batman is. And Tim's like, "Monsters? Nah, we're just the Teen Titans, staying out of trouble as usual." The Titans head to a gas station to fill up their car, and while they're there, Miguel says that Tim is going to get in contact with some of his superhero friends to help clear their names, and that it will be an opportunity to introduce him to Dick Grayson. And the way that Tim replies to that, where he's like, ha, kind of laughs at it, I think it's implied that Miguel wants to, like, he's kind of joking about going out on a date with Dick Grayson, which would be fine if Dick Grayson wasn't in his early 20s at this point and Miguel wasn't 16 or 17 years old. I think he's 17. Suddenly, the owner of the gas station calls out that there's a thief, somebody's stolen something. So Tim and the others go out to try and find them, and they open the car door, their car door, and they see Cassie, and she has stolen a pair of sunglasses. She's back to stealing things. And at first I was like, oh, is Greg Pak just making her go back on her character development for no reason? Turns out there actually is a reason. He does bring it up. I still don't like it, but at least it has a narrative reason. Cassie thinks back to when she was a baby, and her father was looking after her, and when she was a young girl, and her father was saying that they are different, they are special and better than others. And he's like, I'm gonna have to leave for a while, but I will come back eventually and tell you the truth. And then he never came back. Tim and Cassie have a conversation about whether or not they should be bigger than they are. They should be better than they are. And Tim's like, hey, there's a reason I called us the Titans, Cassie. Because I think we're already big enough. Miguel arrives at the motel. He's got some tacos. He offers them to Cassie. And she's like, no, thank you. And he goes in to talk to Tim. And he's like, hey, Tim, it's pretty obvious that you have a crush on Cassie. And I'm like, no, duh. Like, what are we doing here? The two of them have made out twice. One of them, Tim was under the control of Trigon. The second time, though, was both of them just making out with each other, like choosing to, admitting that they have feelings for each other. So why is Miguel acting like it's some kind of secret? It's not. This back and forth between Cassie and Tim is always pointless because whenever they make any step towards any kind of relationship, it never goes anywhere. Like, I don't even want them to be in a relationship. I do not ship the two of these characters, but, like, if you're going to do it, at least commit to it. Tim explains to Miguel that them becoming fugitives is why Cassie is backsliding right now. She's gone back to stealing things. And she's also started using her powers when they're supposed to be keeping them hidden. And she just doesn't care. She's like, why aren't you all using your powers and stuff as well, being Titans? And they're like, yeah, because we just want to be here with our friends. We don't really care about using our powers right now. And she storms off in frustration. So Raven goes to talk to her, and she sees that Cassie is talking to herself, or talking to somebody else. And Raven's like, who are you talking to? And Cassie's like, I'm not talking to anyone, which is just straight up lie. The worst person you could possibly lie to is Raven, because, like, she can see into your mind and shit, Cassie. Like, she knows you're lying. And immediately she calls her out and is like, yeah, I know you're lying. You were talking to somebody. You're searching for answers about yourself, and something's calling you. But you can't just go to it if you don't know. But that's just the problem, isn't it, Raven? I'm never going to know unless I go. And the others hear a massive noise, and it's Cassie flying off to London, where she believes that she's finally found her father. We see a rooftop with a couple of builders on top of it, and then Raven and the other Titans arrive behind her. And she says that whatever Cassie is looking for, she can feel all sorts of darkness emanating from it. And Cassie's like, that's none of your business. What any one of us does affects all the rest of us. What Tim's trying to say is that this is what a team does. We help each other. We know something's been eating at you, Cassie. You're going a little crazy on us, and we're going to help you figure out what's going on. I already know what's going on. I'm going to meet my father and and then they suddenly hear a scream, and they turn around, and these hyena warriors have just come out of nowhere and are attacking these builders. Every time I say the word nowhere, I can't help but think of the corporation. It's drilled in the back of my mind. It's officially ruined that word for me. The Titans fight against the hyena warriors and save the builders, and Cassie chooses to smash through the roof. She's like, it's down here in this apartment. And then she's like, oh no. And we see that her father is just a head, like a bust. He's been turned into stone. So it's pretty much confirmed that he's dead at this point. But it might not matter right now because Cassandra appears. She is a god who first appeared in the Wonder Woman title. She says that she is Cassie's aunt, which means she must be her father's brother, and that her father is a god, and that Cassie is a god, and Cassie just laughs at her and is like, this doesn't make any sense. You know what would be a way to make this make sense? You know who would be the best person to ask about this shit? Cassie's mum, and yet she has no role in the story arc whatsoever, for some reason. Why? Why doesn't she? This is all about her father. Wouldn't the best person to go to ask about her father be her mother? Remember when she showed up during Will's run as if she was going to be really important, and then she just got written out or dropped? Cassandra suddenly teleports herself away, as well as Cassie and all of the Titans and the hyena warriors except for Tim. For some reason, she leaves Tim there, and then Tim gets grabbed by somebody from behind, and it is Diana, Wonder Woman. Because apparently Tim is in her apartment. This is her apartment, and that they have trashed her apartment. So she's mad. She's like, why have you trashed my apartment? I don't get why she assumed Tim did this. If she just puts two brain cells together, she would know that a Robin wouldn't be able to do this amount of destruction. Like, the entire roof is missing. In what world would Tim be able to do that? So the last issue ended with Wonder Woman grabbing Tim by the scruff of his neck and being like, "Why did you destroy my apartment?" And then the next issue immediately begins with her going, "Sorry about this, but I don't know who you are. We don't have a lot of time. Can I trust you, Robin?" Like, she just flipped on a dime. And he's like, "Yeah, you're Wonder Woman, so hell yeah, but it's Red Robin. I'm the one who leads the Teen Titans. Sorry, there are a lot of you." It's not like anybody's made that joke before. Tim explains the situation to Wonder Woman, and Wonder Woman says, "Did the demigoddess call herself Cassandra?" And he's like, "Yeah. Said she'd resurrect Wonder Girl's father." And Wonder Woman is like, "That's cute, because last time around, she helped kill him." Which is a pretty big bombshell to drop. We cut to the Titans, who are with Cassandra, and they are attacking her because they don't trust her for obvious reasons. She's just this demigoddess who came out of nowhere, who is a complete stranger, saying that she's related to Cassie and is the sister of her father and wants to help bring her father back to life. And together, Cassandra explains to Cassie while Wonder Woman explains to Tim what happened in the past. So they explain that Cassandra found Zeus buried deep into the ground and helped him kill a lot of gods, a lot of Amazons, and also Cassie's father. But she says to Cassie that she regrets helping Zeus and that she wants to resurrect Cassie's father so that she can make amends and so that her father can teach Cassie not to end up like her aunt. Also, because this is New 52, it was retconned that Wonder Woman is the daughter of Zeus, which means Wonder Woman is the sister of Cassandra and also Cassie's father, who is apparently called Lennox. This, of course, all happened in the Wonder Woman title, and it's kind of crazy that a character like Cassandra Sandsmark is so closely tied to the Wonder Woman book, and yet has nothing to do with Wonder Woman. Like, she's never met Wonder Woman, she never named herself after Wonder Woman. Like, that's just crazy to me. And of course, Cassie falls for every single word that Cassandra says, that she's really changed, that she only wants the best for Cassie and her father. And so she agrees that she's going to help Cassandra bring her father back, and the Titans are trying to convince her not to. All of a sudden, the ship that they're riding on, because Cassandra has a ship, gets hit by something. They're like, "Whoa, what the hell is that?" Turns out they've arrived in Greece at the Temple of Apollo, where they have been attacked by a giant snake that is protecting a powerful item called the Rod of Asclepius, which is supposedly going to bring Cassie's father back to life. The Titans fight against the giant snake monster. I guess it's supposed to be some kind of Hydra because it's got multiple heads. So they fight against it, they get quickly overwhelmed, and Cassie activates her silent armor, which she hasn't used in a long time, and just starts slicing this giant snake monster into pieces with her bare hands. And she says the reason she hasn't used her armor for so long is because she's afraid it will take control of her. I think the real reason is because the writers just forgot she had it. Because this is the first time anyone's even brought it up since Scott Lobdell. Also, the entire time she's holding her dad's head. Like, why couldn't they just leave that on the ship or just, like, put it somewhere safely? What if she drops it? Cassandra tells her to trust herself and she will be able to control the armor, and she does so. She gets grabbed by the snake monster but is able to break out easily, and she continuously slices its body parts, but then all of these rocks start falling from the mountain and they almost crush Tanya, and Cassie, it's too late for her to do anything, but luckily Wonder Woman swoops in, destroys the rocks, and she's like, "Wonder Girl? I didn't pick the name." "Yeah, that's probably on me," Tim says as he jumps out of the sky. Not exactly sure how he got here. Was Wonder Woman carrying him the entire time? Because she can fly. But Tim can't. Diana immediately sees Cassandra and decides to go punch her in the face. She also punches her way through these hyena men, and Cassandra draws a gun on her and is like, I've changed. Like, let me talk to you, Diana. And Diana kicks the gun out of her hands. Like, after all you did with the firstborn, I convinced Hera to spare your life. And now you're trying to steal a forbidden relic and start another war of the gods? You don't understand. I'm trying to do something different here. Aha. She sees the staff. She's like, finally. And then the staff disappears, and Diana grabs her with her lasso and asks her the truth about what she's trying to do. And she says she's trying to resurrect Cassie's father. And Wonder Woman's like, oh, she is telling the truth. Well, that's a twist. Yes, it is. So what do you say, sister? Shall we help our niece together? And they're finally putting two and two together, where Cassie realizes that Wonder Woman is actually her niece. It's like, so it seems, Wonder Girl. Everybody's just like, wow. Like it or not, guys, I feel a team up coming on. Something I forgot to mention in the last issue that's actually important to note is that Cassandra used to have the ability to control people with her voice, and Lennox ripped her throat out, because that's how she was working with Zeus. She was controlling him to get him to kill guards and stuff. Lennox ripped her throat out, and now she can no longer use her mind-controlling powers, and she rebuilt her throat. She made like a robot throat for herself. The Titans, Wonder Woman, and Cassandra all discuss the whole situation they're in right now, where Wonder Woman believes that they shouldn't give Cassandra the chance to go and get the rod, and that instead Wonder Woman should go and get it herself because she's a better person. I mean, Cassandra earlier was bragging about how she killed a god. Like, is that somebody that you're going to trust? Somebody who killed a god that, from my understanding, didn't really do anything wrong? So Diana hands Cassie her father's head, which is a horrible thing to say, and then jumps into the chasm below, because that is where the rod fell after Cassandra failed to grab it. But Cassandra refuses to allow Diana to get the rod, and she wants to get it herself. So she jumps into the chasm and attacks Diana, which should be just another reason why Cassie shouldn't trust her, because the first thing she's doing is attacking someone like Wonder Woman, who is a good person. While Diana and Cassandra fight each other, Cassie sees the rod in the chasm, and her and the Titans go down to grab it. With the rod in hand, the Titans discuss between one another who should use the rod. Should it be Diana, or should it be Cassandra? For what reason should Cassie use it? Should she bring back her father? Is that a good idea? Raven doesn't think it's a good idea. Tim thinks it is, because his members of his Bat family have been resurrected multiple times, and it's kind of been 50-50 on it being good or not, you know? And Gara's like, well, this is Cassie's decision because it's her father. And Raven's like, well, you gotta make your choice now because the rod is running out of power. And that is when Cassandra shows up, like, so give it to me. You've already made up your mind, haven't you? Give me the rod, and I'll bring him back for you. And Diana comes crashing through and is like, no, stop her! Cassandra takes the rod and uses it to heal her own throat, because she was lying the whole time, or she wasn't. So she says that she truly believed that she was going to help Cassandra. Like, she'd made herself believe that she really wanted to help Cassie, when in actuality, last minute, she decided, I actually want to heal my throat with the rod. I don't know why she was able to fool the lasso of truth. The lasso of truth straight up uses god magic, so you shouldn't be able to fool it. Even if you somehow fool yourself into believing that something is the truth, personally, I believe the lasso should be able to tell that it's really not what you truly believe deep in your heart. But in this story, the lasso of truth has to be pulled by Cassandra just so that the story can work. And all this does is just support people's arguments that Bruce Wayne was able to fool the lasso of truth by saying that he truly believes that he is Batman. Now that Cassandra has healed her throat, she can now use her powers again, and she tells everyone to freeze, and then she tries to tell everyone to die, and as she says this, Bunker uses his powers, because somehow he's able to do that even though he's frozen. I guess he just doesn't need to move at all to control bricks. He creates psionic bricks, plugs everybody's ears so that her words don't work on them, because when she says die, it will just make you automatically, like, it just make your head explode. According to these hyena guys, their heads just explode. Like, that's an incredibly overpowered ability to have. And Cassie's like, I can't hear you! And she looks like she's gonna go punch her aunt, but she actually slices her throat with her gauntlets. And at first you think she's gonna let her aunt bleed out to death. I think that's what they want you to believe, but in actuality, she grabs the rod and heals Cassandra's throat instead of healing her father, instead of bringing her father back to life. She uses the last of the power to heal Cassandra's throat, but she says heal it without giving her back her powers. Like her voice. So Cassandra can no longer speak. And Diana takes Cassandra away to go on trial in front of the guards, because she's like, well, if she really wants to be a guard, then she can stand before the guards and face punishment. And she tells Cassie that she wants to introduce Cassie to the guards so that she can meet her other family members and learn her true destiny. And Cassie's like, no thank you. I've found my destiny. It's with the Titans. They are my family. And Diana's like, well, you may have just done the right thing again, Cassie Sandsmark, but I'll always be here for you too. And Cassandra, it turns out she's able to talk through her mind. She's like, I know you can hear me talking to you right now, Cassie, through your mind. And I just wanted to say that it's not over, that I have planted a seed of doubt within you, and we will see that grow. We'll see where it goes. And it's not going to go anywhere, because this plotline doesn't go anywhere. Cassandra never comes back after this. This is her final appearance in DC. And that is the end of Volume 3. That's right, we've gotten to the end of this batch of comics that we're covering this week. The first few issues were rough. I'd say the final issue with Will Pfeiffer was pretty decent. It just, unfortunately, was rushed. He had to rush through a lot of conclusions and write off characters. And this arc with Greg Pak was fine. I just didn't really care about it all that much. I didn't really care about who Cassie's father was. I cared more about that storyline that Will Pfeiffer was setting up with her mother. The fact that her mother has nothing to do with this story arc at all is a massive crime. Like, I don't understand. Like, it's insane that she only gets passively mentioned when they say, oh, Cassie used to work with her mum in archaeological digs. I don't know. I think it was a perfectly missed opportunity for Diana and Tim to go and find Helena Sandsmark. Where Diana is like, I know the perfect person to bring who can convince Cassie to do the right thing. And so they go and get Helena. And then when Diana and Tim show up where Cassandra and Cassie and the other Titans are, they bring Helena with them. And Helena is the one who gets through to Cassie and convinces her to use the rod for the right reasons and not resurrect her father and to move on. And not listen to Cassandra. I think that would have been a much better way to go about things. But that's it. We're almost done with this series. We've only got one more volume to go. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy it, please like and subscribe and hype the video. And I will see you next week for the final New 52 Teen Titans video. Have a good one.